That you eventually moved here to Martinez, and how was it decided that the Historical Society, the History Center, would move here to Martinez?
We needed more room again. There were articles, we were on every mailing list. I signed up for everything and enrolled us in everything because we were a professional. We had become a professional research library. And I received literature from the California Judicial System all over the state of California. They found they were collecting too much paper. We were filled with paper. And so it was deemed that all court cases, probates, prior to 1924 should be saved intact. And if a library, a historical society, a facility could not be found, then the judicial system would have to do something about it because everything had to be saved. Now this was a rule listed in the court books. We had several members who were judges, Wakefield Taylor, Judge Moriarty, and Judge Spinetta was the presiding judge at that time. He had not signed them off. I petitioned and asked if we could have the Superior Court documents because it was a rule that they should be saved.
So it wasn't something they
Now,
came and they said, here you go, you had to pursue it.
Well, you understand we had no place to put them, but I asked for them. I was leaving the History Center in Oak Park one day, and the judge called for some information, and he said, have you received, do you have the court cases yet? And I said, no, and the rule says, and I could hear him flipping his book in front of him, and he said, yes, here it is. It's a new rule. I'll go talk to Spinetta here. And so out here in Martinez, he went and they had a little conversation, and they called me back and said, okay, you're getting them. Now we had no place to put them.
Right.
I'd asked for them, and so they said, okay, you can have the other half of the Veal Annex. You can have the other half of that room. They used it for documents, and they moved all their documents out, and they moved our court cases in. You have some publicity on that, some pictures. Mm-hmm. And we had file drawers, huge docks, no shelves. Later the shelves came. Now we really are full. We have no place to do work. We had no desks over there, only on the Veal side. And so we began to invite the Board of Supervisors to come to look. Mm-hmm. For 2 years, they came for lunch, looked at all our documents. We had met the Contra Costa Television Company because they videoed all of the Board of Supervisors meetings, and they would come and they videoed all of our holdings. They thought we were great because they got to do little shows about us. We thought they were great because they gave us free publicity. However, we still don't have a place. We had several supervisors who began to look for us because they decided that we needed something. These were their documents, their collection. Joe Contimella from Pittsburgh was on the board, searched for a great many places. We went to look at the Antioch Historical, which is now the Antioch Historical Society, but the school was a good idea except for the Contra Costa County Historical Society. We are now providing people with copies of naturalization papers. People came from all over the county. There's no bus line out to the school that they were offering us. There's no way to get to Antioch. People who did research said, you're going to move where? We're not too terribly interested in using our facilities if we were going to move out in the middle of nowhere. They came up with the Hilson department store, which was a county rented building here in Martinez.
Well, on Main Street.
On Main Street.
Mhm.
Frank Bray was the president, and they notified him that that was available. I remember my husband Rick and I came out, and we met Frank. We walked through. It was a huge place. We thought it was huge.
Yeah.
We moved in May. The county moved us.
Do you know what year that was? Do you recall?
Year 2000.
2000, okay.
Took them 3 days. There were 3 trucks.
And the county moved?
The county moved us. Now everything was on shelves at Oak Park in Pleasant Hill. So all of the boxes, all of the folios, all of the books, everything had to come off the shelves and get moved out to Martinez. Only after the boxes and the storage on the boxes had come did the shelves come. So we moved counter backwards.
Yeah.
We had piles of boxes. It took forever, at least it seemed like.
Yes, it must have been a huge move and probably involved many volunteers at the History Center.
All of the volunteers loaded their cars and helped move. Bill and Tilly Larson, who have been with us from the very beginning, brought all of the framed photographs because they didn't want the glass to be broken. The people who moved us used to come by and have lunch at our place because they thought it belonged to them. They had moved us and they were so proud of their move. Gail Uklama, who was the supervisor, supervised the move and was very excited, would come down and look and see how we progressed. It took about 3 weeks, and then we had a grand opening. And the Contra Costa television came and videoed our whole open house on opening day.
And it's wonderful that the History Center could be housed here in Martinez, which is the county seat.
Well, in order to document the naturalization books, they have to be certified by the Superior Court. So if we moved far away from Martinez, we'd be far away from the Superior Court people, and they have to, they are delighted now because they can walk to us and certify them.
Now, early on, the other day, you'd mentioned to me that when the head librarian for the Contra Costa County Library retired, that you acquired, the History Center acquired the collection from the vault there at the library.
He
Talk a
came
little bit
in.
about that.
He came in one day and said, "These are in the vault. I'm leaving. Now that we have a history center, historical society, they don't belong in our vault." And there were many photographs and a large package written across the top of this paper. On the package, it said 1850 surveys, Contra Costa County. And while he was showing us the photographs and emptying his box, I said, "Is this really what it says on the outside?" And it turned out it was. It was the original, and we probably should have them here to show them on tape. The original surveys of Contra Costa County. They're little sketches, and it says Pleasant Hill. Well, actually, Pleasant Hill was not Pleasant Hill then, but somebody's ranch would be so many feet from the Indian hut to the rock.
Oh, wow.
Or so many feet from the oak tree to the rock. Now, whether that rock is still there or the oak tree is still there, but these are the originals and little sketches, little dashes, and it was in relatively sad condition. The people at Bancroft Library took it and restored it for us. They're huge boxes. They videotaped the whole thing. The gentleman from, the photographer and the reporter who reported this for us from the Contra Costa Times said going to Cal and going into their restoration room was like going into a surgical
I bet.
facility at a hospital. They had to put on a mask, they had to put on gloves, and they had to be sure that they didn't move any dust. And We were not charged. It was a wonderful, wonderful donation from the people at the University of California.
What a great addition to the collection
Yes.
you had. Wow, that's super. So this is a lot of resource material, photographs, newspaper accounts, court records. So you had many volunteers over the years.
Yes.
And how, was there a way you recruited volunteers, or did folks just hear about you?
The
and-
publicity worked. There was publicity in all of the Historical Society bulletins, in the newspapers. The very first person, as I said, was June Whitesides, who came to work in the photography department. Bill and Tilly Larkins, who belonged to the Pleasant Hill Historical Society and the Concord Historical Society. Bill was a well-known author, was a volunteer at Treasure Island. His photography of planes and his historical knowledge of planes is well known. And he came and I said, could you give us a few hours once a month? And he burst out laughing and said, wouldn't you like us more often? I said, yes. And they came every Tuesday and worked until I retired. Bill is now, Tilly died when she was 96, and Bill is now 95, and was recently at one of our meetings. He's done his 10th book.
Wow.
They came, a gentleman named Bernie Friedman, who was a wonderful, wonderful historian, came and was with us until he retired, and has, over the years, created the most incredible collection of the history of education, the building of schools, all of the schools, from grammar schools to high schools to colleges, and we call it the Bernie Friedman Collection. He indexed books, many books, the three most important books in our history center, the histories of Contra Costa County. We had no indexes. So we did Purcell, Slocum's, and sure, whatever the other one is.
Heleniski, I'm not sure.
Huleninsky.
Huleniski, yes.
Thank you. And he left one day and said, I'm going to go and work at the library. They have more work for me and I can bring things to you. And he went to the library and began to collect old obits that we did not have records of. I'm told that at the library he adopted one computer and they called it Bernie's computer. He never left it.
I was there often and saw him there
Yes,
at that one spot.
yes.
Yes, that was his.
And he did most of his work there. He was instrumental. He's done the history of Jews in Contra Costa County, the history of Italians in Contra Costa County, Portuguese, history of sports, education from 1850, from the beginning to 1860 something. Just was an incredible person.
He's contributed quite a deal, hasn't he, to
Yes, he was a
history of
wonderful
Contra Costa County.
person.